All right, well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today for this very, very important announcement. My name is Mike Ellis. I'm the MLA for Calgary West and Chief Government Whip. As many of you are aware, prior to joining the Legislative Assembly, I served proudly as a sergeant with the Calgary Police Service for well over a decade. First responders, let me tell you, leave their home each and every day to serve their communities. They accept that not coming home just actually might be part of the job. And their loved ones, they trust in their abilities each and every day in hopes that their training, of course, will keep them very safe. And that is why it is so important to have good supports in place, not only for first responders, but also for their families. And that is why I'm happy to introduce my friend, Minister Jason Copping, who will share on how Alberta's government is recognizing heroes, supporting their families, and ensuring that all workers are able to make it home safely each and every night. Minister, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Mike, for that kind introduction, and thank you for your service, many years of service on the Calgary Police Force. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and I'm very pleased to be here today to speak to you about Bill 47, the Ensuring Safety and Cutting Red Tape Act. Now, this bill is about restoring balance to Alberta's labor laws and improving health and safety. And it also delivers on our platform commitment to provide additional benefits for the fallen first responders and their families. Now, under this bill, our government will follow through with the creation of the Alberta's Heroes Fund for First Responders. As indicated by MLA Ellis, there is no higher form of public service than to risk one's life for public safety. And first responders take tremendous risks every day to keep Albertans safe. I am especially proud of the Heroes Fund because it fulfills a promise we made to first responders and their families. First responders commit their lives to serving their communities, and we must honor their heroic work and ensure their loved ones have the support that they need. Our government committed to ensuring families of Alberta's fallen heroes are supported, and while I wish the fund wasn't needed, today we are delivering on our promise to honor them and the sacrifices that they've made. As part of Bill 47, we are establishing the Alberta Heroes Fund for First Responders. The fund will provide a one-time tax-free payment of $100,000 of families of first responders who die as a result of performing their duties. We are creating this fund to help ease the financial burden on the families of those who paid the ultimate price in protecting us. Families of firefighters, police officers, paramedics, sheriffs, and provincial corrections officers will be eligible. The Workers' Compensation Board will administer this initiative, and the Heroes Fund will begin once Bill 47 receives royal assent and will be retroactive to April 1st, 2020. While this bill creates the Hero Fund, it will also make amendments to Alberta's Occupational Health and Safety Act and Workers' Compensation Act. Now, Alberta's government is working hard to bring balance, fairness, and common sense to our labor laws. We need to have laws to ensure our workplaces are safe, healthy, and fair. Changes to OHS laws focus on improving health and safety outcomes while reducing red tape. Radiation protection laws will be incorporated into the OHS Act to provide clarity for job creators and employees. Alberta's workers and job creators also need a workers' compensation system that is fair, affordable, sustainable, and efficient. Workers deserve a system that treats them fairly and supports their recovery and return to work should they get ill or injured on the job. The proposed amendments will help Alberta's job creators be competitive and support the province's economic recovery by improving processes and reducing red tape. And these changes will ensure that job creators can continue to provide the jobs that needed for hardworking Albertans. We were elected to bring balance back to labor laws, and Bill 47 will do just that. The previous government made extensive changes to OH&S laws in June of 2018, and we heard from Albertans that these changes were frustrating, with overly prescriptive rules creating unnecessary red tape. So in the summer of 2020, we engaged with workers, job creators, and health and safety experts to get their ideas for improvements. And Alberta's government is changing OH&S laws to make them clearer, easier to understand, and follow for job creators and workers. Workers continue to have rights and protections, while job creators face less red tape. If you look over the past number of decades, there has generally been a steady decline in the lost time injury rate. But in the last 5 years, the improvements have stopped, despite the changes made by the previous government. So we are making these changes to focus on outcomes to improve safety rather than processes. We will stop looking at our health and safety professionals as box checkers and instead empower them with the ability to do their jobs, to identify the risks in the workplaces and build systems and processes that mitigate injuries and illnesses and promotes a health and safety workplace. Our proposed changes to the OHS Act will make it easier for job creators and workers to understand and follow rules without compromising workers' rights and protections. Job creators and workers asked for more flexibility, and under this Act, they will get it. Instead of having to follow prescriptive rules and checking those boxes that may be impractical for their workplaces, employers and workers can work together to determine what works best while ensuring health and safety is the ultimate priority. For examples, employers will have simpler calculation for deciding when they require a health and safety committee or health and safety representative. The new method more accurately depicts the workers' numbers in normal conditions. Now, the requirement to have a health and safety committee for employers with 20 or more workers and a representative for employers with 5 to 19 workers, that remains the same. We are also streamlining the processes for dangerous work refusals to help ensure these serious health and safety concerns are addressed and solved more quickly. Workers will still have the same rights and protections related to dangerous work refusals. It's about results rather than process. We've also removed duplication when it comes to the radiation rules by incorporating the Radiation Protection Act into the OHS Act. This puts all workplace health and safety laws in one place, providing consistency and clarity for employers and for workers. Now, radiation laws will remain intact because they currently work very well. Alberta's radiation protection program is considered one of the best in Canada and has actually been adopted by BC. So, at the end of the day, workplace health and safety is in everyone's best interest. The financial cost of workplace illness and injury is too high, but this does not compare with the human cost, which is much greater and immeasurable. Now, in the unfortunate event that a worker becomes ill or injured on the job, Alberta's workers' compensation system is there to support them, help them recover, and return to work. In order for the system to do this important work, it needs to be affordable, sustainable, and as efficient as possible. So our government is restoring balance and fairness to the workers' compensation system to meet the needs of workers and job creators now and into the future. The changes will ensure the workers' compensation system will be more sustainable, affordable and fair so workers can stay employed and access the financial support that when they need it. We are listening to Albertans and addressing areas job creators have identified as driving up system costs and affecting the system's future sustainability. And we are reversing some of the 2018 changes that added unsustainable costs to the system at a time when Alberta's economy and job creators are struggling the most. Employers have told us that some of these changes have led to rising costs, additional red tape, and has put the system's future sustainability in doubt. And by making these changes, we can ensure key benefit programs and services can continue into the future while keeping premiums affordable for our employers. One example of these changes will be reinstating the maximal insurable earnings compensation cap to ensure workers continue to receive reasonable benefits while keeping the costs in line. Proposed changes will also help the system operate more efficiently while reducing red tape for both employers and workers. For example, having fairness reviews, appeals, advisory services, and medical panel services delivered by other existing organizations will reduce duplication while maintaining services for both workers and employers. A fair and balanced workers' compensation system will continue to provide for ill and injured workers with affordable employer premiums. And this helps ensure workplaces remain viable, which is vital to job growth and supporting Alberta's recovery plan. By streamlining our health and safety laws and ensuring a sustainable, affordable, and efficient workers' compensation system, we will help ensure Alberta's economic recovery and ensure Albertans have safe and healthy workplaces. At the end of the day, it is our goal to ensure that every person can make it home safely to their families. And in the unfortunate event that one of our first responders and their families need a little more support, we will respect and support them. We have their backs, and we will continue to support all Albertans as we move towards our economic recovery. Thank you.
Well, wonderful, and thank you very much, Minister, and thank you for all the hard work that you've done. And on behalf of my former colleagues in the police service, thank you for having our backs. So thank you very much. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Ms. Janice Simpkins. She is the Senior Vice President of the Alberta Forest Products Association, and I welcome her to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, MLA Ellis and Minister, for having me here today. In forestry, we take pride in the kinds of workplaces that we offer. They're safe places where people work together to create products that are used by families here in Alberta and around the world. And they're collaborative places where teamwork and efficiency matter. We are very supportive of these changes, Minister Copping. They reinforce the commitment to collaboration, to doing things in the safest way possible. They remove unnecessary barriers and processes and shift to an outcomes-based approach. These outcomes are what matters, keeping the focus on safety and safe workplaces while allowing our industry to stay competitive and create jobs for Albertans. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Janice, and thank you for being here today. Our next guest is Mr. Mike Martins. He's the Director of Public Affairs at Progressive Contractors Association of Canada. Thank you for being here, Mike, and the podium is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Minister. The Progressive Contractors Association of Canada is an association of 110 construction companies headquartered here in Edmonton, and together with our labour partner, the CLAC Union, have built much of the signal projects in Alberta over the last 40 years, including much of the oil sands projects like the Bow Tower, the Anthony Hendy Highway, and the Calgary Southwest Ring Road. And safety is at foremost of our minds. And we want to thank the government and the minister for bringing forward these excellent changes that will enable both greater effectiveness in handling safety measures on site, keeping the companies more efficient and effective, and maximizing the opportunities to keep the workers safe and working as much as possible. So thank you very much. We appreciate working with you and the great work you're doing.
Well, thank you very much, Mike, and thank you again for being here. So that concludes the speaking portion of today's conference. We'll next move to the questions and answers, and I thank you all for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MLA Ellis, and for our guests for being here, as well as to Minister Copping. We'll now move on to the media question and answer portion of our news conference. We will allow one question and one follow-up. And just a reminder, we have Minister Copping available, Janice Simpkins, the Senior Vice President of the Alberta Forest Products Association, as well as Mike Martins, the Director of Public Affairs at the Progressive Contractors Association, or Progressive Contractors Association of Canada, rather. So just a reminder to indicate who your question is for, and operator, I will get you to open the phone lines to our first caller.
First question is Lisa Johnson with Post Media. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, good afternoon. This question is for Minister Copping. I'm wondering if you can clarify something for me. My understanding is that under the NDP, they created a lump sum fatality benefit of about $90,700 for the loved ones of workers who die on the job. What, if anything, is happening to that in this bill, or what will happen to that? Are there any plan changes, or does this bill do anything to that benefit?
Yeah, there's no impact on that benefit. That benefit remains in the unfortunate incident where someone is killed in the line of duty. There's that benefit and a series of other benefits in regards to potential support for dependents, as well as payment for funeral costs. So all those benefits remain. The $100,000 tax-free benefit for first responders is a top-up on in addition to that.
All right, and go ahead with your follow-up if you have one.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and I'm wondering what the details are on the cap for maximum insurable earnings. And correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is the previous cap before the NDP got rid of it was $98,700.
Yeah, that's correct. That was the previous amount, and we're moving back to the method that was used previously, where the board will decide the cap, and this is done generally by policy. And the policy previously, and this is the direction we're providing to the board, was that it would cover 90. You know, it'd be set at a level to be able to cover 90% of all those who are covered under the workers' compensation system, and then that does get adjusted on a regular basis as under board policy.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Operator, could you please put through the next caller?
Next is Michelle Belfontaine with CBC. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hi, Minister. Thanks for taking my question. Just to clarify what you just said in response to Lisa. So you said 90%, the cap would be 90% of those workers that are insured under the system. So is there going to be an average of everybody's earnings and then it's set, like it's 90%? I don't really understand. Can you clarify a little bit more? And I do have a follow-up.
Yeah, so my understanding of this is that they look at what the maximum, what the earnings level, top levels earnings, so to cover 90% of workers that would actually have their full or 100% of their earnings covered at that point level. So that's actually how they set it. And then 10% of the workers would be below, or their top earnings would be above that particular landmark, or so that particular rate. And historically, it was $98,700 prior to the changes in 2018.
All right, and go ahead with your follow-up.
Yeah, and I just want to ask about the definition of workplace accidents. I know that the previous NDP government required employers to report near misses. Is that changing under Bill 47?
It is changing slightly. So this is PSIs, which is potential serious incidents. So historically, prior to 2018, employers were required to do an investigation on PSIs. Changes made in 2018 were made that built upon that. On that obligation, and added another requirement that they have to report to government. Now, what we heard from experts in the field is that this had the knock-on effect of some employers being wary of doing investigations on PSIs because they worried about potential liability associated with this when reporting to government, which had the effect of actually reducing the number of investigations in terms of PSIs, which is counterintuitive because, as you know, if you can identify what went wrong in a potentially serious incident, and it's only through luck that someone didn't get seriously hurt or injured, you can identify that, then you reduce the number of serious injuries and fatalities. So the change we're making is we're still, again, still requiring that employers investigate PSIs. We actually are also requiring them to report them to government. We are adding a clause that's saying that they will not be liable for when they do the reporting on this. We are not going to, because an incident, even though a potentially serious incident happened, there was not an injury or a fatality, because we want to encourage reporting, so we as a government can look at these numbers and then spin that back to the industry, identifying potential issues and areas for training, while at the same time we want to encourage employers and workers to do investigations in this. So the only change we're adding is we're putting limiting the liability associated with that, and we want to continue to work with industry on doing PSIs and addressing the issues to make workplaces safer.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes the question and answer portion of our news conference. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. If you have any additional follow-up questions, you can send me an email and we will get back to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.